Hi, I'm Rhonda Green, Funeral Services Manager for the First Baptist Church of Glenarden. I'm also the author and founder for My Exit Plan. If you want to know more about my exit plan, if you want to purchase my book or the workbook, or make an appointment for a consultation, you can visit my website at rhondagreen.org. That's RHONDAGREEN.org. Now, for the sake of time, I want to jump right into what is an exit plan and why you need to have one. I realize that some people don't want to talk about death. It is not something that they want to listen to. They just don't want to talk about it. But with all the deaths that are occurring today from the coronavirus, from other illnesses such as cancer, heart attacks, strokes, and even some people going to sleep at night and not waking up in the morning, and their family don't have a clue what happened because they had no illnesses. So, with all of that said and done, this is a needed conversation for every family, every person, every household need to talk about getting their affairs in order because guess what? We're all going to die one day. So when God calls you home, your family will not have to stress out about what to do because you've already made out your plan. And all they have to do is pick up your exit plan and follow through with what your request is. So, with that said, I'm going to jump right into what is an exit plan. An exit plan is a combination of completed documents that include your final wishes and important information that will be needed to carry out your arrangements when death occurs, whether it's your death or someone in your family. Everybody needs an exit plan. These documents consist of your will or trust, a pour over will, a power of attorney. Now, let me just put a plug in right on the power of attorney. Some people think that because they have a power of attorney, it gives the person power after they die. Not true. The power of attorney dies when you die, but it's good to have because if you're incapacitated, then that person can take care of your business. They can take care of your banking, pay your bills, do whatever it is you gave them power to do. So, talk to your attorney, talk to whoever's taking care of your legal documents, and make sure, along with your will or a trust, you have a power of attorney. You also need to have either a medical power of attorney or an advance directive. Now, the advance directive, as I said, let me just say, I am not an attorney, but I want to make sure I get this in, and I'm sure if the attorney has not already talked about it, she will be talking about it. But the advance directive is a document that is well needed because if you are incapacitated, your family and your doctors need to know what your wishes are. Do you want to live in a vegetated state? Do you want to live on life support for a long period of time? What do you want? You need to spell it out and let them know so that your family doesn't wind up having to fight over whether to take you off of life support, whether to leave you on life support. So you need to spell it out. The next document is a military discharge, your DD 214. If you're in the military and you have a spouse, in addition to you being buried at the military cemetery, your spouse is entitled to be buried there. But now you have to have a discharge that is in good standing. You cannot have a dishonorable discharge. You have to have an honorable or under general conditions discharge. So let me just throw that in to be clear. I don't want you running down there saying I can be buried here and you have a dishonorable discharge. But back to the discharge. You if you're entitled to benefits, if your spouse is entitled to benefits, they need to have that DD 214 in order to get things started. Marriage license. You need to have a copy of your marriage license or divorce decree. These are documents that your family need to have on hand. So if someone comes up and say that they're your spouse, they will be able to verify it. Or if you divorce the person, they'll be able to verify that as well. Banking documents. You need to go to your bank and ask for a POD, that's paid on death. And what that does is it allows your funds to be transferred to your beneficiary versus having to go through probate where they would not have access to it. And if they need to pay the mortgage, pay your car note, pay your child support, pay whatever, they will not be able to use that money if it's sitting in probate. But if you put a POD on your account, then the money can be distributed to whomever you choose for it to go to. Your obituary. Nobody knows you better than you. Write out your own obituary. You may not be able to do it all in one night, but write it out. You know you best. You know where you went to school, you know where you work, you know who your friends are, you know what you want to say about you. So write it out so that your family will not have to struggle through, well, where did they go to school? Well, where did they work? It'll all be right there to make things easier for them. A draft order of service. You know who you want to do your eulogy, and guess what? You know who you don't want to do your eulogy. You know who you want to sing at your service. So, or who you want to give remarks. Just jot it down, write it out, leave something for your family to go by as a guide. Photos. Take some selfies or make sure that you every so many years you update your photos, because if you're 80 years old, I do not want a photo of you when you were 25 and we all trying to figure out who this person is because we didn't know you when you were 25. So have some updated photos so that people will know, that it's you. Social media passwords and usernames and pins and all that kind of stuff. Jot it down in your exit plan so that your family can cancel those accounts and they're not 5 years later still getting memories and posts from you, and they know that it's not coming from you, but sometimes the account generates old memories. So anyhow, make sure you leave that so that your family can shut down your accounts. Now, I've told you what an exit plan is. I want to tell you the benefit of an exit plan. Having an exit plan removes the stress of making decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Now, y'all all know when somebody passes away, it's always somebody that's very, very emotional, and maybe a few somebodies. So you don't want to have your family running around trying to figure out what funeral home to use or what to do, where to bury you, all of that at the time of your death. All of that should be taken care of with an exit plan so that they can just go ahead and focus on their grief and not be all stressed out. So that's one of the benefits of having an exit plan. Another benefit is that it keeps your family on one accord. When you have to make decisions in a rushed period of time, you may not always agree. And what happens is families fall apart. And I've seen this happen to so many families. So, to avoid this from happening in your family, make sure that you get everything together so they won't have to try to make decisions and wind up falling apart. Um, Proper distribution of your assets. That's another benefit. If you say who you want to have what and where you want it to go, and so forth, you don't have to worry about anything being misplaced because everyone will receive what you wanted them to have. And it also, having an exit plan will also allow you time for closure. So rather than having to run around and do all of this stuff, you will be able to focus on your grief and have time for closure. Dying without an exit plan can cause loss of property and benefits. If they don't know what you own, where it is, what to do, all of those important things, houses, I've seen houses go into foreclosure because nobody did anything because they didn't know to do anything. So that's one of the downfalls of not having an exit plan. Benefits, they may not know that you had an insurance policy, or they may not know that you're entitled to certain benefits on a old job that you had or that you may have retired from. So that's loss of benefits. I've already mentioned division in the family. Just not having a plan, it can just cause so much confusion. And also lack of closure. There's your family's so busy running around trying to take care of your business that they don't have a clue. Yeah, they just don't have time to sit down and focus on the fact that you're gone and how they're going to move forward. They just don't have closure. So those are the downsides of not having an exit plan. Now, if you're single by choice, if you're thinking about getting married, or if you've been married for a long time, you need an exit plan. If you're single, don't leave your significant other as your beneficiary, because by the time you die, they may have married somebody else. And if they married somebody else, they're not responsible to pay for your funeral. They're not responsible to take care of anything having to do with your death. And so they can just take the money and run off. So you want to select someone in your family so that at least you may stand a better chance of that person taking care of what needs to be done. And for those of you that are thinking about getting married, don't sell your house and then take all the money and put it in somebody else's house and then expect for them to put your name on that house. Because what's happening today, folks are changing their mind. Nah, I don't think I'm gonna put your name on my house. Now you've spent all your money, you have no house, you have no money, and you mad. So just take care of this stuff up front. You won't have to worry about that. If you're married, if your spouse was previously married and you've moved in your spouse's house, you need to know whether or not their former spouse's name is still on that house. Or you all need to have a conversation as to whether or not your name is going to go on the house up front, so you'll know just what you're working with. Those are just some of the things that are very important. And I've just had so many cases where the spouse has died and the house was the other spouse's name, the previous spouse's name was on the house, and that person had to pack up and move out. And they've been paying the mortgage for 25, 30 years, and it's your own fault because you did not check into what you were dealing with and make sure that things were okay. So, uh, it's very important that you get your affairs in order. I'm going to run through a couple of more things real quick because my time is running out. But the things you want to also focus on is making arrangements, knowing the desires, or your family knowing your desires, or you knowing the desires of your family. Selecting a funeral home. Don't wait till death occurs to select a funeral home. Know where you're going to go. So if your loved one die at home, all you have to do is call that funeral home, and you don't have to be trying to Google funeral homes to figure out who to use. Know what the service preference is, whether you want an open casket, closed casket, whether you want to be cremated. If you want to be cremated, put it in writing so that your spouse or your children, no one will be at odds with each other, because it'll be clear what your wishes were. your final resting place. You need to know, or you need to let your family know what you want done with your remains, where you want to be, as I said, do you want to be cremated, or do you want to be buried with your first wife, your second wife, with your mama, your daddy, your children? Make it clear as to what you want. Um, know the policy of the church or the venue where you're going to have your service, or where you desire to have your service. You need that information up front. And especially now with the COVID, you need to know, are they even open? Are they doing funerals? If so, how many people can attend? All of that information you need to know up front. Death certificates, you want to make sure that you have the important information for death certificates. You need to know your spouse's mama's maiden name. You need to know just a lot of information, important information, their social security number, just different things that will complete that document. Because if you don't complete it correctly and it gets kicked back, guess what? You're not going to get no insurance money for a minute. So you want to make sure that you have all of that together. Today, I challenge you to get your house in order, complete your exit plan, take care of the business of dying so that you can focus on living today. I've gone over a minute or so, but I hope this information is helpful to you. And if you want more information, please visit my website. God bless.